So essentially, what we're doing with the practice of quieting mind is not only to reduce stress, to ease any health or heal any health problems that we might have. There's been many studies done that prove that this practice can heal the body, can change our way of thinking, and change our brain, which is also called neuroplasticity or neurosculpting. So we are actually learning by doing this practice to listen to a different part of ourselves, our higher self or our soul. And I like to say that in this practice of meditation, when we're always coming back to our breath, we're letting go of thoughts. The thoughts come in, they go, they come back again. We're always thinking also throughout our days. It's impossible to let go of every thought. But in this awareness of our thoughts, there's a space often, and it's just a pause, a blank slate, I like to say. And even if we only get that every so often when we try to do this practice of meditation or quieting our mind, that's still quite an achievement, and we can celebrate that. The ego voice will say, we're not doing it right, or it doesn't work, or we don't have time. It comes up with all kinds of reasons why not to do it. But even if we can celebrate those small moments of, wow, I had a moment of a pause, there's that space. And in that space is where our higher self can start to emerge. It's that little whisper that nudges us along, that is very quiet. It's also our intuition, of course. And it speaks in short, loving, kind, gentle phrases versus the voice of the ego self, the negative aspect of the ego self at least, which is kind of convoluted and drawn out, and it's telling us why we should do things or why we're not good enough at that. And I like to say that it is a version of the mean crowd. If you were in middle school, I was in middle school, of course, as a female, and girls in middle school can be particularly mean, like a clique. So if you think about the ego voice as a version of different mean voices in your head telling you negative things about yourself, then we can start to say, all right, well, is this really something I want to keep listening to? Another word for these voices or inner thoughts, negative inner thoughts, is the inner critic. Do I really want to keep listening to these? Do I really want to keep listening to the false stories that they're telling me about my life and my abilities? Often these beliefs that we tend to really listen to quite closely, often they're quite subconscious. They come from childhood. They're between the ages of 5 and 10 usually. We're told something, we experience something, and we start to believe for the rest of our lives, and it's often enforced by sometimes people we meet and we know in our waking lives. We start to believe these stories about ourselves. So this practice is developing the ability to listen to our intuition and also to let go of these stories of our negative ego self.